Affirmative action comes about in 1965, I believe. All right. The new black middle class. It's the first stable black middle classes, ever, right? 80% of all black folk up until this point in American history are all poor, working class, blue-collar workers at best. Now we have the first in 1965, the first stable black middle class. And then 80% of all black PhDs also come after 1965. So affirmative action is doing some stuff. We've got ABC programs out there, we've got a head start. All that is starting in 1965. All of it. For the most part, not all. Not lying too much. And the most infamous report, if you will, infamous, hopefully that's a good word, but the most infamous report on black men is the Moynihan report by Dr. or is he a doctor? But definitely Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. He may be a doctor. I think he's still. Let me just back up for a second. So, the Great Society produced these things. This interestingly enough, this new opportunity, if you will, particularly as it relates to black people. Interestingly enough, this new opportunity, as opposed to simply creating opportunity for black folk, this also deepened this created a socio-economic splitting, if you will, of the community. And what happened is we began to see for the first time clearer haves and have-nots in the black community. That's what happened in 1965. Right? So if you read Swagenhoff and Domhoff's books, Blacks in the White Establishment, who's following the ABC program since the 60s until the 1980s, right? These are two white Jews writing this book. Excellent read, get it if you can. That's the argument that they made. All the ABC program or Head Start program or affirmative action ever did was split the black community. Right? So you had a federal government that came in and just said, okay, since y'all creating all this ruckus across this country, we're just going to allow some to benefit a little bit more. We're going to create the impression as if they did it all by themselves so they can feel good about themselves, and we're going to leave the base of black people out. What happens is the infighting creates or generates in a way that we've never seen in black America. There was always tension between the have and have-nots in the black community, but now it's real. It's real in a way that we haven't seen before. Yeah.
Oh, that's a brief note. I've been reading Sophie Carmichael's autobiography. It's a really good read. It's a really long read. It's like 700 plus pages. He's one hell of a storyteller though. And he went to Howard University for his undergraduate in the early part of the 60s, late part of the 50s, early part of the 60s. And he makes a point of saying, the reputation of Howard University has now, about we had bougie black folks, you had the real black folks, and he says that didn't start in the 80s or 90s. That was going on back in the 50s and 60s. You had the upper middle class black people coming there and having a certain aura of entitlement, if you will, because of the work that their parents did. And they really clashed with the more lower working class black folks that were able to get to Howard because their parents or their family didn't do the same sort of work. So it was interesting to me, at least, to note, even as early as that late 50s, early 60s part, before we even get into the mid to later 60s, there was still that sort of tension going on. You had more obvious class divisions among the black community.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the class tension in the black community begins then.